Now, tomorrow marks the 80th anniversary of D-Day, when thousands of British, Commonwealth and Allied troops landed on the Normandy coast. This morning, John is in Portsmouth, where commemorations are due to get underway. Good morning to you, John. Just tell us where you are, tell us what we can expect on what's undoubtedly going to be a very moving, very poignant 2 days of commemorations.
Indeed. Morning, Sarah. Morning, everybody. From Southsea Common, a beautiful day today. Exactly 80 years ago today, Portsmouth was the headquarters, the main departure point for those military and naval units heading across the Channel to Sword Beach and then onto the Normandy coast. And this morning, this specially built arena just yards from the shore will be hosting royalty and politicians, military top brass, but crucially, at the heart of it, D-Day veterans and their families for a spectacular and a poignant show in memory of that day in June 1944. That morning, troops who'd been camping out in the woods just outside Portsmouth emerged. They came down here and they clambered into waiting boats and began their journey across the Channel. They'd been planning and practicing in secret, but now it was real. They were about to embark upon the most audacious, ambitious military operation imaginable, Operation Overlord, or D-Day. The Normandy landings, still the largest seaborne invasion we've ever seen, a turning point in the Second World War. And last night we were down here as the final rehearsals took place for this special ceremony you'll be able to watch on BBC One later this morning. We'll tell you all about it as the morning goes by. But to explain about the next couple of days, here's Tim Moffat.
I thought you might like to see one or two things that we have from my grandfather, King George VI.
Yes. First-hand accounts of D-Day are precious and increasingly rare.
A photograph of him.
Tonight, the King and Queen will be seen hosting D-Day veterans at Buckingham Palace, listening to their stories.
Yes, I spoke to Montgomery when I was in Normandy.
Did you?
And to Churchill.
D-Day has come. Early this morning, the Allies began the assault on the northwestern face.
This is the day and this is the hour. The sky is lightening.
In Whitsand Bay in Cornwall, Royal Marine Commandos have been practicing amphibious landings. Tomorrow morning, they'll be landing on beaches in Normandy to mark the moment when, 80 years before, the first of the more than 150,000 Allied troops went ashore on D-Day. This morning, at 11 a.m. on Southsea Common in Portsmouth, the Ministry of Defence will host the UK's first major national commemorative event, marking the 80th anniversary. The King, the Queen and the Prince of Wales are all due to attend. To the north of Portsmouth is Southwark House, where D-Day was planned and overseen by Allied commanders. Veterans have been gathering there this week to reflect on the role they played. Marie Scott was a 17-year-old radio operator, relaying crucial information to those landing in Normandy.
I could hear machine gun fire, cannon, bombs, men shouting, men screaming. You realise, my goodness, these young men are placing their lives on the line.
I see France, the outline of France, and hear these shells. It made me realise that we were in a war. It wasn't an exercise or rehearsal or training. We were there, and anything can happen. And I was scared.
Many veterans have now crossed the Channel to attend tomorrow's commemorative event at the British Normandy Memorial in Vers-sur-Mer. Poignant and powerful, a chance for all of us to remember and say thank you. Tim Moffat, BBC News.
It really is going to be a very special couple of days. Dame Helen Mirren will host the ceremony here on BBC One in this special stage. Military bands will be here. We'll see and hear from some of the veterans. Some of their letters that they sent back to their families will be played to the waiting crowds. It'll be great relief here that the skies are blue and the sun is shining down on Southsea Common for this commemoration event later this morning. At the heart of that event will be the veterans themselves. Some have gone over to Normandy already. Many of them will be here to meet the King and Queen and to see this terrific concert. And over the last few weeks here on Breakfast, we've been hearing some amazing stories from them, the people who are actually involved in that D-Day operation back in June 80 years ago. And this morning, we want to tell you the story of Tom Stonehouse. He was only 18 years old during the landings. He left here, didn't know what he was heading to, but he's been sharing his memories, his thoughts with Graham.
On good days when the sun is out, Tom Stonehouse and his wife Shirley like to sit in their garden and watch the birds. Tom is 98, his memory sharp as a pin.
Thomas Stonehouse, 147130902. You never got paid until you couldn't remember your number. Okay. And he said, after that, you'll never forget it. And up to this year, 147130902.
Tom was 18 on D-Day. He was one of 160,000 Allied troops who landed on the beaches of Normandy. What were you thinking as D-Day was approaching?
Frightened. And the sea roughing was the hardest thing in the world. Up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Not very nice, as you know.
Heading out to sea after a 24-hour delay because of the weather.
Hardest thing after that was going down the side of the boat to get into the landing craft.
Plunging waist deep into the sea.
The explosions come from all sides. It was an open space, really, and I can't say much more than that. That made me sort of, I suppose, frightened. And I was frightened, that type of frightened all the way through. I went across with a bloke I joined the army with, round about the same age as myself. I knew he was alive when we got off the boats, but I didn't know, and I couldn't find out. No one seemed to know. And it was a hell of a job to find if you've lost someone or anything like that. They weren't forthcoming with names.
But you didn't see him again?
I never see him no more.
Hard losing people like that?
It's hard losing people. It's what can I say? It was a guilty fact that it was him and not me. Why? And that question, why, came up a terrific amount of times in my army life.
You felt guilty?
I felt guilty. I felt guilty all the way through. When I see someone else go down, I was still here.
You still feel guilty?
I still feel guilty.
Where the weight of battle had fallen heaviest, it was a scene of utter destruction.
Tom fought his way through France and Belgium. He ended the war in Germany, just outside Berlin, and then was taken to a concentration camp.
They took everyone just to let us have a look, see what happens in wars. The concentration camps, where they was closing them down, I think that was the worst of the lot. The stench, the actual stench was far worse than I would have rather not seen it than seen it.
In 2018, Tom was given the Légion d'honneur, the highest French Order of Merit, for his part in the war.
That was lovely. That was lovely. And then see the French president after. And he come up, shook my hand and gave me a kiss. You know, like the French people do.
What did you think of that?
Beautiful.
You don't think of yourself as a hero?
No, there are hundreds of blokes more hero than me. Don't ever think of me as a hero. I was one of them.
Do you think it's important that we remember what happened?
Yes, you've got to remember. You've got to remember.
Why do you think it's important?
Why? Because until you can get the silly sods to get together and stop it, it's got to go on forever. The same things is happening time and time and time again. Remember people from years ago. Wish they was here. Pray for them sometimes. I hope I see a lot of my friends again. If there's another world. And
you'd like that?
I'd like that.
Oh, Tom. Amazing to hear your stories.